Hello everyone. So I got a new background for you here. I'm back in Ontario, Canada, at my dad's place in Lindsay, Ontario. Be here for a week, so this will probably be the background for those videos. So got some good news and bad news for Tesla, a couple different articles. So let's check them out. First, the bad news article from Inside EVs. The Tesla Model S and Model X is going to be discontinued in Australia and New Zealand. Tesla has quietly discontinued the right-hand drive Model S sedan and Model X SUV in Australia and New Zealand. A glimpse at their regional websites reveals a straightforward notice on top stating that the models are unavailable to order and that the specs displayed are US values. The move comes in the wake of Tesla's decision to stop manufacturing right-hand drive versions of the Model X and Model Y, reportedly due to mechanical and logistical hurdles. The company is implementing similar measures in other right-hand drive markets like Hong Kong and Singapore. Tesla has offered reservation holders in Australia a full refund or the option to buy the smaller Model 3 or Model Y with a $2,000 credit, 3,000 Australian dollars. Well, that's kind of confusing because he's saying they're going to stop manufacturing right-hand versions of the Model X and Y. Maybe he meant to say Model X and S. Because then he says, well, they're given the option to buy the Model Y, and I think that's what happened here. This should be Model S because I don't think they're going to stop making the right-hand drive versions of the Model Y. Several buyers have expressed their ire on social media, and understandably so, as some of them have been waiting for their orders since 2020. Here's what Twitter user @BennyShogs wrote after Tesla canceled his Model S Plaid reservation. A bit sad, Cybertruck order was cancelled, and now Model S Plaid. Well, he must have cancelled the Cybertruck order, because that's still happening. Still happy to have an right-hand drive Model X already. Now apparently a collector's item. Would be super interested in anyone doing conversions from left-hand to right-hand drive in Australia. Would happily import one from the US to do so. So yeah, this has been going on in other markets it mentions here. Right-hand drive markets like UK, Ireland, Thailand, Japan. And I think it kind of makes sense. The Model S and X are not high volume vehicles, so it's a lot of hurdles to jump just to ship these vehicles to these small markets that are right-hand drive. And he says it again here. It's unclear at this point whether the right-hand drive Model X and Model Y will ever be available again in these markets. Maybe he just made the mistake again, but I believe he meant to say Model X and Model S. And now the potentially good news, or at the very least interesting news. I got an article from Bar Chart. Headline is Unusual Options Activity in Tesla Stock Shows a Large Investor Taking a Position. Now this might get a little confusing, but I'll see if I can straighten it out for myself and the viewers. So 2 large tranches of Tesla stock options were traded on May 30th. One a near-term in-the-money put position, and the other a long-term way out of the money call option. This unusual stock options activity is likely from a large investor. The unusual stock options activity report from Bar Chart on May 30th showed that there were 13,000 put options traded at the $202.50 strike price for expiration on June 2nd, which is tomorrow. The second tranche was for roughly 13,000 call options traded at the $310 strike price for expiration on October 20th, 2023, 142 days from now. The first tranche of options puts was in the money since the price of Tesla stock closed at $201.16 on Tuesday, May 16th. The second tranche was way out of the money since the 310 call strike price is 54% higher than today's price. But interestingly, both had very similar prices. That's what makes me believe that both tranches were likely initiated together. For example, the puts closed at $5.45 per put contract and the calls traded at $5.15 per call contract. That implies that the investor may have gone long the puts and paid the $5.45 price even though they only have $1.34 of intrinsic value, i.e. $202.50 minus $201.16 equals $1.34. The reason is that they shorted the out of the money calls and received $5.15 per call contract. That leaves a net cost of just 30 cents. So in effect, the short put investor has a profit of $1.04 in the long puts as long as Tesla stock stays at $201.16 or lower. Meanwhile, they must figure the call options will wither over time unless Tesla stock rises by over 50%, 54% over the next 142 days, almost 5 months from now. Tesla stock is up over 22% so far in May and has risen 63.3% so far in 2023 since it closed at 123.18 at the end of 2022. Moreover, the company reported on April 19th that Q1 revenue rose 24% year over year compared to last year, although non-GAAP earnings per share fell 22%. However, analysts expect earnings per share to rise to $3.50 per share this year and $5.03 next year, up 43.7% by the end of 2024. This puts Tesla stock on a forward multiple of 40x for 2024, which is not that expensive. So theoretically, Tesla stock could rise 54% by October 20th, especially since by then analysts would have received the Q3 earnings report for the quarter ending September 30th. Nevertheless, that could be a reach. In other words, it's possible that the call options could potentially be worth $5.15 by October 20th. Nevertheless, there is a good possibility that Tesla might not be seen as undervalued given how far it has risen this year. That is likely what the investor who likely shorted these deep out-of-the-money calls is counting on. It also shows that the investor is likely more bearish on Tesla stock as they have, in effect, a large in-the-money put position that is mostly paid for by shorting the out-of-the-money calls. So investors who intend to copy these moves should be careful. Another interpretation. Also keep in mind that my interpretation of these tranches may not be correct. It is possible the investor went long on these out-of-the-money 310 strike price calls. They may have shorted the in-the-money puts with the hope that Tesla stock will rise in the next 2 days. That is, they shorted the 202.50 puts, received $5.45 per contract, and turned around and used those proceeds to purchase the 310 strike price calls, paying $5.15 per contract for them. At least that way the long call position is more than paid for with a net 30-cent credit, i.e. $5.45 from the short puts, $5.15 for the long out of the money calls. And even if the 202 strike price puts are exercised, at least then the investor will own the Tesla shares at 202.50, less 30 cents net credit. So then they will have a covered call position with the 310 out of the money calls. Either way, you can see a large investor has taken a big position in Tesla stock, which is mostly bullish. You can decide if you want to copy them. So yeah, a little confusing on the call options there. Interesting nonetheless. And yeah, it's hard to say what the mindset of the investor is. So I guess I would just venture to say that my expectation would be that Tesla shares rise over the long term, and you can take what you want from this these options trades from what looks like a wealthy investor. So that's it for this one from my new location in Lindsay, Ontario. My name is Evan Bertrand. This is the Evergreen channel. Give the video a like if you liked it. Subscribe by clicking on the wheel on the bottom right. And thanks for watching.